Do you ever struggle with not knowing where to start or what to focus on in your business? Do you ever doubt your ideas and your abilities? Do you feel unfulfilled and unhappy with where you're at in your business? Do you get stuck in analysis paralysis? Do you feel like you're unsupported and doing it alone? Do you wish you had a clear game plan? Do you feel overwhelmed, stressed, or pressured? Do you feel like you could be playing a much bigger game, but you continuously kind of feel this stuck feeling, or maybe you're second guessing yourself or hiding out and playing small when you know you can step out and play much bigger? If you just answered yes in your head to any of those questions, then I have got something for you, sister, something that I've designed specifically for ambitious women who are ready to take their online presence, their brand, their business to the next level and want that expert support and guidance and accountability along the way. My Female on Fire Mastermind is launching in April. It is an exclusive online, very intimate mastermind where you are going to learn so much and accomplish so much in 9 weeks. If there's one thing that I'm known for, is my relentless commitment to results and high accountability. My group containers are extremely structured, organized, and set up for every member to win. I am like a maniac on a mission, committed to you achieving your results. Anyone who is in that container, I'm literally thinking about you while I'm in the shower. That's how intimate we're getting in here. And you just can't fail in this container. You will create powerful results. It's happened time and time again. And if you want to learn more about the mastermind, go to www.FOF-mastermind.com. I can guarantee you right now, there is no other online mastermind like this. I'm 100% confident when I say this. So go to www.FOF-mastermind.com now, learn more, and apply. We're talking about money today with the money queen herself, Amanda Francis. She is a self-made multi-millionaire, digital course creator, writer, and podcaster, and a true example of what it means to lead and run a business while having it all, not sacrificing other areas of your life, like travel, adventure, romance, you name it. In this episode, we're diving deep on that mindset and really uncovering those beliefs that are so crucial and so simple. That's something, by the way, I love about Amanda is she really simplifies things down for you. Money doesn't have to be that complicated. Things in your life don't need to be that complicated. It really can be so simple. So in this episode, she really simplifies things for you so that you can really understand how easy it can be to create the life that you desire. I'm really excited for you to just dive into this episode. Make sure that you take some notes, you have a pen and paper handy, and get ready because we're about to dive in. Amanda, welcome to the show, and thank you for being a part of my Female on Fire series. I am so excited to chat with you today.
Thank you for having me, love. It's great to be here.
So, I am, of course, going to be chatting you up about money today because you are the money queen, and I've actually listened to a couple of your videos, and I'm like, I was just telling my boyfriend last night, I love the way that you talk, that you speak about money. And that I truly believe in the power of language and of thought and belief, and I know you do too. So I'm excited to dive into that with you and kind of like pull from you those key beliefs and thoughts that you have that have supported you in your journey. But before we dive into that, I kind of want to hear about your journey. I want to hear, like, I know you're completely self-made. So Can you kind of share that backstory specifically with money? Like, what was it like in your household? What were your parents' relationships like with money?
My household was filled with fear completely. I mean, my friends joke that my mom's limiting beliefs around money gave me a whole career. Like, she was so distraught, anxious, worried. She lived always with a fear of ending up on the streets. Like, so it was doom and gloom all the time. She was a hot mess around money. And I guess the way I saw it, even at a young age, I saw that she had positioned herself as powerless, that she didn't feel she had a say, that she didn't think she could make a change, that she felt helpless to create a new experience in reality with money, right? So I went through my whole childhood and early adult life intending to be in power, in charge, not in control of, in a sense of needing to control everything, but in control, knowing that I knew I had a say in how my life went, what my financial reality was, what my relationship with money was like, and how I used my gifts and skills and desires to create something that meant something to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can actually really relate with that. I feel like I actually was in Bali when I saw this healer, and he told me that whenever we grow up in an environment where something feels out of control, we will tend to grip the steering wheel and take control. That it's actually a reaction that can be caused and created from, so basically you coming from pain to power. You know, you took something that was a pain point for your mother and transformed that into your own power. So I think that's really powerful. I can relate to that. I grew up with a lot of scarcity with my mother as well, really embedded in her lineage, I would say. So, okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's ancestral in my family too. I mean, we have no money for people going back many, many, many generations. Like, there's a lot of identity and like association and attachment to not having it easy when it comes to money in my childhood household.
Okay, so I love that you transformed that and you created new beliefs, and I'm excited to dive into that with you because I know that it is always intention over mechanism. And I've heard you speak about that just in a different way, how it's like, hey, you can learn all the strategies and all the, how-tos, but if you're not an energetic match for what you want to create, it doesn't matter. We could learn all the things and it still wouldn't happen. So what for you has been like those pivotal mindset, that soul work that you've done, those core beliefs that you have around money?
Yeah. So I think one thing I want to say is that being an energetic match is like such a buzzword and like a trendy thing to say. And people either love the phrase because it resonates with them, or they hate the phrase because they like feel like it's some woo-woo shit that they can't, they don't know how to apply to their life. And I think this is like really the only thing. If I could reduce it all down to like one thing, it would just be this: I don't think thoughts, feel feelings, and believe stories that do not support me in getting what I want. That's all it is. So being an energetic match just means that like the vibrations and frequencies that you hold in your body that were produced by your thoughts and by your feelings and by your stories and by your whatever are in line with the thing you desire. That's all it means. But as it's gotten convoluted, it's just, I think the simplest thing in my own reality, as I'm observing like my own thoughts and beliefs and feelings and stories and doubts and fears and whatever, that something negative could happen to me when it comes to money. Like, as I'm just going through my daily life, it really is just, is this supportive of me having the financial reality that I want or not? If it's not supportive, then I need to disregard it as not the ultimate truth for me.
Yeah, my dad says that a lot. He says, you're either thinking empowering thoughts or disempowering. You're either creating or destroying. So I'm curious to know, because a lot of times people can say, all right, well, I've had so many women come to me and be like, Ashley, I'm having trouble controlling my thoughts, right? I'm having like those thoughts will come in and they don't know how to shift them.
Yeah.
So, and that's part of it, right? Is we're going to have like those thoughts creep in, but you said something just now, which is when they come in, I disregard them. So how do you go about that? What kind of tools, or what do you
don't worry, you don't give them power. You don't worry about them. Okay. So in the manifestation world, in the spiritual world, like everyone's so afraid they could fuck it up. They could think a wrong thought, hold a wrong vibration and fuck it up. And it's not really like that. To me, it's more like, I believe that every like positive thought, every thought in line with what I want is a million times more powerful than the random negative stuff that floats through my mind. So for me, it's like I said a bit ago about being the observer. Like I observe the thoughts and feelings that are unsupportive. I'm aware of them. I notice them. I'm aware of when some feeling or thought I've been holding starts to create form in my life and shows up in my reality in a way that I don't like. Like I'm aware of it, but there is an unattachment. There's just like an oh, isn't that interesting? An oh, isn't that silly? That thought is still there. Not oh, I'm still thinking that I'm going to fuck it all up. Like there's no way I'm ever going to be wealthy or supported or have love or whatever. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally.
So I don't try to stop thinking it. I just notice it. And then I replace it when I have a moment to really sit down and work on it. I will intentionally feel into and maybe write down what thoughts or ideas or beliefs would be more supportive. People need to do different things to get into a vibration. Some people like do it through movement, some people through visualization. For me, I'm pretty cognitive. Like if I can just identify the new belief or the new thought or the new goal or new desire that feels really, really true and really, really resonates with me, I can be like, that's it. That's where we're going. That doesn't mean I believe it 100% of the time. That means I've identified it as my truth and goal and outcome. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. I heard you. Okay, a couple of things that I want to unpack that you just said, which are really important. Not judging the thought, not resisting the thought. I think that's so key. I'm so happy you brought that up because we can be really hard on ourselves, and that can happen where it's like, oh, like, why am I still thinking that? Why am I you know? And what we resist persists. I say that a lot. And it just does. It's like literally taking darkness and like covering it with more darkness, like piling it on top.
And trying to like pack it down and then lie to yourself about it. And then,
Yeah, totally.
Judging yourself for it, being afraid that you're afraid or sad that you're like laying your emotions on top of each other instead of just being honest about what the thoughts and the emotions are and not making it mean anything and go on.
Yeah. And just observing, being the witness. So I love that. And then what you said too is like everyone, and it's so true, is there isn't like a one size fits all. Everyone manifests in their own way. And I did hear you talk about that. It's funny because I relate to you a lot. My practice is like head to heart because I'm a lot in my head as well. So I heard you say that before and it really landed with me. It's like interesting because some people are very like visual and they see that and they visualize and that like really works for them. I have a girlfriend who's like that. For me, I journal a lot. And I know that's something that you love to do as well. It's like journaling out what you actually intend to create. So my question to you is, what does that process look like for you? Do you have are you writing literally in the present? Is there a certain way that you go about doing that you can share with the listeners who are also kind of cognitive that way as well?
Yeah. So the right journaling practice or manifestation work for someone is whatever helps them create a shift in their body. You know what I mean? So like you said, your head to heart. If I think a thought that feels true, feels right, feels like movement in the direction of my dream, it like resonates in my core, in my soul. So it's not just heady, but it's like I can, with thoughts and words, get feelings into my body. You know what I mean? I can vibrate that way. So it could be a lot of different things. So it could be it's been many, many things over the years. It can definitely be journaling out something as though I'm already in the new reality, writing as if it's already occurred, like my future self writing it. I think that can be super effective. It can be, for me, it's often my journal is a place to just like get clear. Like one of my favorite journal prompts is, what is going on below the surface right now that you're not feeling, that you're not thinking, that you're not talking about? Like, what's the clutter? You know, if I can like declutter myself, then I can be like, okay, what do you want? What ideas tell you can't have it? What would be new, more supportive ideas? If you already had that reality and it was your destiny to have that reality, like, how would you be feeling now? What would you be thinking now? What would you be saying now? Like, what would be going on inside of you now. Because to me, getting that in my body, vibrating with that, is the whole becoming an energetic match for it thing. What other journaling things do I feel supportive? You know, it really is whatever helps you shift. And for some people, just the journaling will just make them feel like they're lying to themselves. And they're like, what is this? So it's like, you know, not really the thing for them. For me, if I know it's like a truth that's resonating with me and I know it's where I want to go, that can feel more powerful than anything in my current reality that tells me I can't have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Love that. Those were some really great questions. So I'm hope that you guys were taking notes as she was saying that. Yeah. And if not, we'll try and put them in the show notes as well for you guys.
Yeah.
Something else that I've heard you say before that I loved is you said, and these are just these little, one thing you're really great at, Amanda, is you're really great at saying things that you just like, they flow out of you and they are simple. Like they're not like anything complicated, you know? And that's what I love about the way you talk about manifestation and money. It's like you simplify it and that feels good. And so one thing I heard you say, and I might butcher this, but it was something along the lines of, well, if I need to save more money, I'm not going to reduce my spending. You're like, I'm not going to stop spending. So that means I got to make more money. And I thought that was I was like, yes, I love that. I literally just had my accountant today be like, hey, Ashley, because I've been reinvesting a lot in my business. She's like, so this month, just watch your spending because you're reinvesting. And I remembered what you said. And I was like, how about I just make more money this month?
Totally. Because how is the energy of restriction ever going to support us in more abundance? It just doesn't make any sense, you know?
Yeah. And so can you say that the way that you say it?
Well, I mean, the whole thing about not being limited in like any area, like any financial area.
Yeah. I mean, I love the way even that you said that one thing. You were like, if I want to save more money, it just means I'm going to make more money.
So I believe in deep as a whole that restriction doesn't get us what we want and sacrifice doesn't get us what we want. That is like, those are constructs and realities and paradigms like happening in the world, but they are not the only way and the ultimate truth. And they're certainly not a truth I subscribe to. So for me, it's not take away from one place to give to another place. It's expand all the places, expand every area. So if I'm wanting to save more, well, then I'm also like, then why not also spend more? Like, to me, it's like expansion on every level. So, okay. Because I think they can all amplify each other if you allow them to. So the first step would be in this dynamic we're talking about, someone who wants to like save money, but also spend money. So the first vibration and like frequency and thing to get into and thing to get good at would be like the receiving of money. Like, can you allow money in? Can you feel worthy of it? Can you trust yourself to use it well, to earn it, like whatever. Feeling safe receiving is kind of like the first step of something we have to normalize. But then from there, it's like, can you feel safe having money? So it comes in, but can you let it sit there? Can you be someone who has money? Because often most of us who didn't grow up with money, it's like we receive it and we have a lot of things we've always wanted. So then we go and buy a bunch of stuff, which isn't a problem. You can do that. But the next thing to play with would be like, can some money sit there and I still spend a lot? Like, how does that feel to me? And that is essentially saving. Like the money that just sits there and adds up is like, put it in a savings account. Now it's savings. It's like not that deep. So the vibe for me was just like, I'm going to get better at receiving more and more and more and more and more and more and spending more and more and more and more and saving more and more and investing. And, you know, I have quite a bit in the stock market. I own 3 properties. Like nothing in me said like, oh, I want a really healthy savings account. So that means like my closet should suffer. Like, what even is that logic? It's just like a numbers game. And the people who like had the most would keep the most. And it doesn't always go that way because there's a lot of other stuff going on in our energy and our psychology and our worth issues and our desires and, you know, et cetera.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love what you said. I liked what you said about expanding every area and just not going from a place of either or, like I can have that or that, to a place of both and. Like
it's always a both and. I mean, almost everything in life is a both and.
I love it. I love it. So, and you kind of already talked about this, but this really just flows right into the next piece that I wanted to talk with you about, which is how you run your business. I have noticed that you really run from a space of your feminine. And I know I have right now in my group, I have a women's group. And one of the things they really are working on is they are a lot in their masculine energy and running their businesses. And what I love about you is that you've really kind of tapped into what running your business with your feminine can create and what that looks like for you, which I would love to know. I've heard you talk about it before, but for the listeners who have not heard that, I would love for you to share how running your business and like leaning into your feminine looks like for you.
I think like everything else, it's definitely a both and. So I'm definitely not sitting around going like, how can I be more feminine? I am always noticing what would feel better, like what would feel really good. So I think what that looks like present day is like, you know, say we're launching, like Money Mentality Makeover was last month. It's like my biggest launch of the year. It's like a 7-figure full blown, like it's kind of like a time where I'm like out there. So, you know, like the email has to be written and sent out, like a post needs to go out. Like I often do like a big like live stream that I really like try to drum up and promote. Like things have to happen. But I think what really supports me is what I do between the things. Like between the things, can I sit down and trust? Between the things, can I relax? Between the things, can I like let my team do their job a little bit more? So it's like, it's a lot of trusting that my actions are and were enough, and then leaning back into like a receptive mode. Because I've done the thing where I just work and work and work and work and work and work. And like, there's definitely something to be said for hard work. Like my focused, determined, intentional efforts have really, really, really served me. But like you'll burn out if you only do that. So to me, it's a lot of like effort and intentionality and like movement, and then like leaning back and receiving and relaxing and trusting. And it's like, it's a dance. It's both.
Yeah, no, I actually, that's beautiful, because it is a dance and it is about harmonizing the two. It's not about just only running in your feminine or just only running in your masculine. They both serve us in different ways. And they both can also, in the same way, there's light and darkness to everything. So what you said, like the nonstop hustle, not giving your body, yourself a break, even when you're not feeling good, right? Which is everything. It's like, does this feel good? Does this feel good? And checking in. You said 3 very like important components of being in your feminine, which is receiving support, like allowing yourself to receive support, trusting, which I know for any controller women listening, you know, trusting team members to do their jobs and to support you. And 3, flow. You like, you flow between, and you're like, all right, I just put in X amount of time here. I'm ready to just go sit and relax and, you know, take a bubble bath or whatever it is.
Yeah, so, like take a moment. So I think it is a confusing thing, because people on the internet, I mean, I don't know. I think you could take anything someone teaches and run it to a really funny extreme. So I try to give like a full big picture when I talk about anything. Because if you just see me like taking a bubble bath and eating a lunch, and then I'm like taking a walk, like you might go like, I don't think she works. You know what I mean? But like, I'm a naturally hard worker. Like I will put the effort. I will do the thing. Like no one on the planet doubts that I'll show up when it's time to show up. So that being a given, my edge is to be very intentional to take care of myself. Someone else who's like really good at like la-di-da-di-da, enjoying their life all day, might have to have a little bit more structure about like, when do I sit down? When do I work? When do I work best? When does it feel good to have that effort? So it's like, I think it's a bit like knowing yourself and your personality, and then like finding where your edges are and what would be like the balance and the more ideal like combination for you to have both like effort and relaxation and trust, you know?
So true. It's like, what do I get to activate, right? To create what I want? Because for me, I mean, I definitely relate more to the side of this tendency of wanting to be in my masculine hustle, grind. So really actually this past 2 years, I've really been intentional about activating certain parts of my feminine that I knew would support me in expansion. And that is exactly what happened. So I think you're absolutely right. It really depends on the person. Like right now, you listening, which side you're on, and knowing like what Amanda said, where your edge is, and then leaning there and creating something from that space. I love it. Okay. So I have another thing, and I wanted to request for you, because this is a request from also my audience. You lead some of the most beautiful, simple, elegant meditations. So I wondered if one of two things, either A, would you be willing to, on this episode live, do like a mini, it could even be like, you know, just a few lines or whatever. Maybe it's something that's active for you, a new meditation you maybe just came up with, or something you've kind of been leaning into yourself recently.
We can meditate. That's easy.
Oh, I love it. Okay, great.
I've never, literally in a decade, I've never one time like written out a meditation. Never once. I literally just close my eyes and start talking. So it's not any like amount of effort.
Beautiful. I love it. You're tuned in.
Okay. So if everyone could sit up straight, close their eyes, shoulders back, maybe rolling your eyes in and up. Either palms facing upward, or maybe hand on your heart. And begin to take a big, deep breath in. And release. Breathing in. And let it go. And just taking a moment to remember that we are worthy. We are worthy. We are worthy of the love, of the money, of the influence, of the power, of the leadership and authority. We are meant to do big things, to hold a big space, to make a big difference. And it may freak people out, and they may not like it, and they may not get it, and it will never matter. Because you, in your power, in your wholeness, in your fullness, sharing your heart, your truth, your power, your purpose, your gift is the thing. It is the thing. And you are capable of it. You are worthy of it. You can do it. You are meant to do it. And you have fucking God and the whole universe on your side. And anything that tells you that that cannot be true for you is a lie. So breathing all that in. Reminding yourself how worthy you are. How beautiful you are. How loved you are. That support is available, that your path is laid out before you, and that you can do it. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Amen.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for dropping in.
You're welcome. It's fun to do, you know?
It is. It feels good. It feels good. And like it's breaking apart my day. And that was just lovely. So thank you.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. No one's ever asked me to do that live. That was fun.
I was like, I just feel called to ask her. So I'm going to ask. Love it. And I love that you channel. So you don't actually write or script out your meditations. I didn't know that. Super
Never
cool.
one time. And it's funny because based on how my meditations tend to do with no effort, they do quite well. People really like them. like I had a guy that I gave access to some of my courses, and he went through my courses and he pulled out little chunks of like meditations from different courses and trainings. And that's what a lot of my YouTube meditations are. It's a few minutes from this meditation and a few minutes from this one or whatever. And like, it's gone really well with, like I said, like no effort. Like, I really wonder what would happen if I was like, okay, God, it is time for the meditation album. We're releasing 13 tracks to the world. We need one on money. We need one on love, whatever. And like, I rented out a studio and I did the whole thing. Like, I don't know if I should like write them out or just channel the fuck out of them, you know?
I think you do what you just said, but you channel the fuck out of them.
Yeah. Like, I tell God we need a little bit of structure. Like, can this one be this? Can this one be that? Like, I have a strong intention, but then I just do the thing. Yeah,
exactly.
That's probably the move.
Yep. Intention over mechanism. Yep. So actually, you just said something interesting, because I was going to ask you about this as well. Now, one thing that, and I didn't actually know this, someone had told me, I actually had a guest on my podcast who mentioned you. And she said, oh, one thing that Amanda's really great at is that she's a repurpose queen. Like, she repurposes things.
Yeah.
Can you
like really good at it?
Into that? Because that's huge.
I mean, I guess here's the lie. The lie would be that if you record something one time, one way, then after that moment, it's old and it's expired and it's not relevant and whatever. And that feels very weird to me. Like, do you know Florence Scovel-Shinn? I might be saying her name wrong. This one was like writing about money 100 years ago. And I think she is the boss, right? So the idea that like energetic or spiritual or even business principles really they don't change that much over time. How we apply them to online business or social media or whatever adapts, but like a good teaching is a good teaching forever. So one thing I think I do really well is like, I record it whatever way I record it. It could, years ago, it could have been in like a Facebook group or a Facebook Live or for a new course or as a live stream. It doesn't matter. I record something one way. And then from there, a lot of different things could happen to it. I could like bundle it up with several other trainings and sell it as like a digital training bundle on my website. It could be, I have several of those where like similar topics are bundled together. So drop the motherfucking money struggles that way, energy and frequency of money is that way, whatever. So I have some of those. I have one I'm going to do soon called Becoming the Wealthy Woman. So there's that. But then also I'll take those bundles and they'll be like bonuses for my course. So like Money Mentality Makeover is like a 7-module course, but it has like 25 hours of bonuses because all these bundles are bonuses now. So now I've used it 2 ways, but that's not enough. If there's like a 60-minute training, I love to take 10 minutes out of it. And those 10 minutes become a YouTube video, an IGTV, and a podcast. I don't want to ever devalue the course, but I can take like a snippet and still feel like it's fair, So at that point we have YouTube, IGTV, podcast, and 2 ways of selling it. It's pretty good for an hour of my time.
So good. So good. I love that. It's like, again, simplifying to amplify. Like, you literally taken 1 hour and created, 20 pieces of content from it. Like
1 million. And I'm sure there's ways to expand that even more. That's just the way that meets all my needs and desires. Like I want, obviously to be able to like sell things because that's my job. I own an online education company. We got to sell things. So I want to be able to like create content people love that they desire to invest in that feels good to them that way. Right. But also I really care about free content being out there. So that's podcast, YouTube, IGTV. And everyone, there's so many different models and strategies for how to get eyes on you on the internet, but I've always been a content person. I've always written my own copy. I've always kind of been content over everything. So if you're like a content marketer or a content creator kind of person, I don't want to sit around all day and just record new content. And a lot of people thrive on that. They can make 1 million TikTok videos and Instagram reels a day and be living their best life. But I don't want to do that. So why not just find something I've already done that can work inside of one of these other places, and edit it down to be in that place.
No, it's so smart. Gary Vaynerchuk is one of my mentors for a while. It's probably where I learned a lot of the hustle from. But that's something that he was like super keen on with me. It was like, he would say, squeeze the juice. Like everywhere you show up, like squeeze the juice from it, because it's like you don't need to be like, it's just like maximizing that input that you're putting in, and like creating multiple layers of outputs from it. And it really transformed so much of my business. I know there's still places where I can do it better, where I can take that to the next level, which I'm excited about. But absolutely, it's like, I love what you said about how a good teaching, like a good lesson, can last a lifetime.
It's timeless. And so I've seen a lot of people, create a digital course and then decide that something's wrong with it and that they could have done it better and re-record it a million times. And I just think it would be a never-ending game of self-doubt that I don't want to play with. So I trust that everything I've done is good enough. It's full and complete in what it is at this point. It was divinely and created and inspired, and it's good. And I can add to it anytime I want. So I'd rather add like more content to an existing thing than recreate something all the time, because I just think it would be like a dead end kind of game, So I just let good content be good content, and I let it be timeless. And I think there's like kind of this like thing online of like, what's new, what's fresh. And I think it's a little bit like silly. So I really intend to be in my like brand and my mission and my presence. I intend to be like timeless. Like from the beginning, I've played the long game. I didn't ever want to be like a blow up and burn out person. So it's always been the intention that everything I create is used forever. And like, I've kind of done a good job fulfilling that, I think.
Yeah, no, it's a great mindset to have, also for any perfectionists listening right now.
Oh yeah. Recovering perfectionist all day. Yeah.
Oh, totally. But to hear that, and like what you said is, I just released it. I don't need to re-record it. Like I've even had like, I remember there was a point in my life when I was doing that, like 5 years ago, when I was first creating content, I would like re-record like 10 times the same piece of content. Like, why? Why?
Why? And, like, let it be enough. Like, and also here's the other thing that I really like got to sink in a long time ago. That's become like a foundational truth. Oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. And I was going to say something really good. Hold on. Oh, that's become a foundational truth for me is, it's really energy over everything. Yes, I like that when I teach something now versus like 8 years ago, I like that now it might sound a bit more mature. It might be more nuanced. It might be more layered. It might have more depth. Like I like the teacher that I am now, and the energy of it 8 years ago was still fucking good. You know what I mean? So like, the wording might be better now, and it might have all those layers I just said that I'm proud of and I like, but like you still can listen to it and kind of get like the impartation. The energy can still be transmuted. You can saturate yourself in it, in a teaching about money, and feel differently about money. No matter what words I said or what examples I used, the energy was always there, Yeah.
And you could be meeting someone where they're at in a different space. You know what I mean? Like where you're at now versus then can meet somebody like else on their journey, in that equivalent space.
Totally. My early modules of Money Mentality Makeover, I was like working on my first 5-figure month. And I think I was breaking down like this intersection of goal setting and manifestation and like feeling supported by the divine. Like I think I was breaking it down so well in a way that I only could then. And now, my company's biggest month is like 734,000. Like the way I think about money and being supported is like some of the things that are default, like I don't think I explain them as well as when I was like learning them and getting them. Like I had more of the language to explain them in a relatable way. So I'm still a good teacher, but I'm a different teacher. And I just think everything I've taught this whole time can take people on a journey, but different parts that I've created, like, will serve different people at different points, so I let that all be enough,
Amanda, I've just got to say, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. I mean, I just hope, ladies listening right now, you really heard that. Like, let your journey, where you are right now, let that be enough. Where you are tomorrow, let that be enough. Where you are in each present moment, let that be enough. And know that the way that you show up, when you come and show up fully as you are in each moment, you have the ability to impact that many more people with your message, with your mission. I can totally relate. I published my book, my first book, Magnetic Confidence, in like 2017. And I've had moments where I'm like, I've kind of relooked at the book and I'm like, man, I'm in such a different space now. And then I'll have like women reaching out to me because I'm like, oh, there's so many, like, I'd probably write this differently. I'd probably do this differently. But then I'll go in the space of, you know what? No, like, I'm glad that's out there because I know that it's impacting women who are at a different point than the women I would impact now. And it's true. I get the messages and all the things. And there's people in my life that I care about so much right now, Amanda, that are saying like, oh, well, I'll do it when, like, I'll write the book when, like, I'll launch the course when. And I'm just like, and I love you talked about that. You talked about this someday I'll ask, someday I'll and that you can speak into it. I know you have a lot to say about that too.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest example I have is just, from my reality that the first 3 modules of Money Mentality Makeover, which generates millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. It made $2.75 million in 2020. Like, it's a very profitable course that people love and are obsessed with. I literally have hundreds of screenshots, not hundreds, over 100, the last time I counted, screenshots on the enrollment page for it. Like, it is a loved course. And those first 3 modules I recorded in either 2014 or 2015. I really think it was the very, very end of 2014. So like, when I recorded them, I wasn't perfect. I didn't know everything, but I knew enough. I was very aware that my understanding of money was more developed than the average person's in the world, and that I could break some things down really simply. I knew I could do that. So I did what I could do well when I could do it well. Not perfect, but pretty good, pretty well. Like, I remember a friend of mine at the time who was maybe like I don't even know if she was a year further into coaching than me, but she'd been coaching a little bit longer than me. She was like, if you walk into any like Whole Foods or wherever, yoga studio or whatever was like what I was into at the time, if you walk into any of those places right now, well, you know more about the manifestation of money than anyone else in the store at that time. And I was like, likely, yeah, probably. Like, I was enough of an expert. I knew enough. So I created what I knew. And then as I learned more about the nuances and the intricacies and the depth of money, as I learned more and more and more, I just built and 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 added. And now I think I'm like a pretty good fucking teacher at it. Like, I would say.
Exceptional.
Thank you. But I couldn't have become this if I didn't do that. It's not like I couldn't have waited. I had to start getting it out of me. I had to start building something. I had to start expressing something. I had to start practicing something. If I hadn't done any of that, I wouldn't have, it was the foundation. I couldn't have built on it if I didn't just start,
Yes. So good. So true.
Yeah.
And I remember there was something, and I actually had I had an experience that reminded me of this recently as well. But it was like having Gabby Bernstein. I think it was like you were going to do a collaboration with her and you were talking about this. Like, you kind of had a thought come up of like, someday I'll ask, but then you like stomped it and you were like, wait a minute, no, I'm going to ask her now. I heard you say it somewhere and it reminded me of when I love Alison Armstrong, huge fan of her work. Do you know Alison Armstrong?
Yeah, no, she's cool. She's great.
Love her. And I didn't even realize it was so like subconscious. I hadn't brought it to the forefront. I've been wanting her to come on my podcast. I've been wanting to sit and chat with her forever. And I had never asked her. And one day I just was like, wait a minute. Why am I waiting? And I realized there were some thoughts I was having like, oh, I'll do it once I've had this many episodes, once I've gotten to ratings, you know what I mean? Like, then she'll say yes for like, and it's so interesting. And I just was like, you know what? F that. I'm just going to ask her. And so I reached out and literally her team responded, or her, I don't know if it was her or team, responded in like a couple days. And she's booked on my podcast. So I'm like, and it just goes to show you is like, you can never receive a yes if you don't ask in the first place.
Totally. And people are just people, you know what I mean? Like just other humans, you know?
Yeah. And what are you making it mean about you if they say no, if they ignore your message,
Totally.
right? Like that's the thing that we're scared of, is that like rejection. And at the end of the day, it all comes back to your intention. And it's better that you have tried and put yourself out there and actually like giving yourself the opportunity to receive a no versus like not even giving yourself an opportunity to receive a yes or a no at all.
Totally, like depriving yourself of the opportunity. Yeah. And I think it takes a like certain level of security to become more comfortable receiving rejection. And it's not comfortable receiving rejection like anyone likes it. It's more like safe to receive rejection or any other unfortunate outcome. You know what I mean? Like when you know that. So like, I think we go through life all day long trying to like prove things to ourselves. Like I have to have this kind of month or this kind of launch to prove that like I can be successful, or have this number of clients paying this amount to prove that I'm growing. But when you kind of like stop all that and you're like, I get to be successful because I do, and I'm growing because I am. And like, that's the path and trajectory I'm on. I don't think anything's really a failure, but if you call it a failure and you think it's a failure, you think of it as a failure and you think it means that you can't ever have this, you're meant to not have, you know what I mean? It's all the story we put about it. So the only way the Allison thing could have ever been harmful, if you thought that it meant that her not coming on your podcast meant you could never have a highly rated podcast or something. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just a person saying yes or no, you know?
Totally. Yeah. We're meaning-making machines. And that's the thing, is like, that's why I love journaling, is I'll take myself through like a process journaling where I actually identify like, what am I making that mean? And I actually write it out. Cause otherwise, if I don't do that, I find that that's what happens. I just kind of keep going. And so like taking that time to actually, oh, okay, got it. That's what I'm scared of. Well, that's a little ridiculous. All right, I'm going to do it, you know, because most of the time when we face it, it's like this, we think it's like this big hairy monster, but it ends up being just this little thing. So I love that. Yeah, okay.
Totally.
So I have a question that I ask every female on fire who comes in this series. And that is, and this is more of like a personal question.
Okay.
What is one thing about yourself personally that you used to hide, dim, mute, or maybe even shame that you have since reactivated and reignited on your journey to becoming the female on fire that you are today?
I mean, literally fucking everything. I mean, like everything.
Whatever pops up first.
Yeah. I mean, because the thing that feels very true for me, I like kind of went into this a lot on my book, is that, I don't know, it's like, it's the only thing that can harm us is like the rejected part of us. Like when we accept anything and embrace anything, we can like change it. You know, it's only like debilitating when there's shame around it. So, I mean, I would say fucking everything. Like, okay, I have a story that's coming up. This might like help or resonate with someone. So like, in school, I was like never a bad student. I was a pretty good student because I could like work the game and make A's. I'd be like, oh, I just got to do this homework in this way and turn this in by this time. And I can like skate by like as a good student or whatever. But I never felt like seen or like valued or like cherished or like respected or like anyone got my gifts. They just left me alone because I was making straight A's. You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to fuck with a girl who makes good grades? But I never really felt like I found like what I was good at inside of school, other than I could write pretty well, which has served me. Anyway, so school was kind of like a whatever time of my life. And then I remember when I was a new entrepreneur, a couple years in, like supporting myself with my business, but like, you know, still kind of at the beginning, I was like sitting on my couch, kind of like rejecting myself, thinking about how I was like disorganized and like lazy and not really that like, not always that motivated and like, I don't know, just that I didn't fit into the box. Cause like I said, I could make A's, but I was always late to school. I could make A's, but I always waited until the night before to do the project. Like I could make A's, but nothing about like me or who I was like received or honored or respected, like I said. And I remember sitting on my couch, like kind of rejecting everything about my personality. And like, I don't even know how God got this thought to drop in my mind. Like, but I just remember going like, wait, am I creative? Am I just like creative? Am I just like unique? Because I'm not artistic. I don't paint, but it's like this blogging I'm doing and like coaching I'm doing and like educational path I'm kind of on and spirituality I'm exploring. Is it more just like creative? And I like started crying because it was like everything that was wrong with me, I could just recategorize into creative. You know what I mean? And like, I didn't have that lens my whole life. And from that day, it was like a very life-changing moment. Because from that day, I just went around going like, everything that's like supposedly bad or weird or different or not ideal or doesn't fit in a box well or whatever, what if it was all just perfect? And even if it didn't make sense in school or didn't make sense in my early jobs or didn't make sense to my parents or didn't make sense to my family, what if everything that didn't make sense was just like part of me that was probably going to work for my ultimate good in the long run, in the long haul, like in my path? And I think that's true. Like if I wasn't like disorganized in this and kind of wild and kind of out of the box and all of that, like I don't think I could be like a kind of like blow your mind marketer or like a little bit of like a compelling writer or like a teacher. Like I don't think I could do anything that I do if I didn't have that like creative, doesn't fit in, just make A's, I guess she'll be okay, like person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's so good. I love, first off, I want to ask you, how old were you when you had that moment when you said like you were like crying and you
like 28.
Wow.
No, not really. I started my business when I was 25. No, like 27 or 28.
Wow. And it was just a moment like you were just sitting and
I'm trying to remember because I've never told that story and I haven't thought about it in a very long time. But I think I saw something online. I think I was like clicking around and I was like in a self-loathing moment that my blog wasn't out yet for the week and I hadn't posted on Facebook yet that day. And whatever it was, I was being like hard on myself. And I was clicking around and I think I saw something like signs you're creative or how to know you're creative and like whatever. And I clicked on it and it just described me like you're disorganized and you think outside the box and like your sense of time is different than everyone else's sense of time. You tend to run late. You don't know how, you can't help it. And I was like reading all this going like, oh, I'm not fucked up. I'm unique and interesting and creative, you know?
Wow. Oh, I love that. It's so good. It's just crazy how those moments just, you know, just.
Yeah. So I said a minute ago, I couldn't remember how God dropped it in my head, but I think it was dropped in my head through a random like BuzzFeed article. But it didn't really matter because I was ready to receive it. I was ready to know it and I was ready to teach it so from then on, and it's been a long time now, my whole career since, I think I've done a really good job of empowering clients and students and just people in my audience to just like themselves, accept themselves, embrace themselves, run with who they are and like stop fighting themselves, like stop trying to contort themselves into boxes that don't make sense. Because you just can't be free and expressed and empowered and like impactful and on your path if you're squishing yourself down all the time based on the things we were taught we had to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, totally. And you're not even tapping into the full potential of your magic. Like we're a full, like trillions of cells uniquely put together. There is no other person like you, like me. Right. And it's like the only way to fully activate the power in that is to allow, like own it all, to be it all, to express yourself. So, and I love that you really in that moment, whether knowingly or unknowingly, you transform this like fear of like, I don't fit in, as I don't fit in these boxes. Like I'm like, da-da-da.
It was like I'm not exceptional kind of story. Like I'm good enough. I do well. People aren't like worried about me, like whatever, but I'm not exceptional. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think we all are really exceptional when we embrace who we are and like run with it and stop telling stories that the things that are wrong with us are why we can't achieve, you know?
Yes. It was like, I'm not exceptional in these standards. Like when it comes to these metrics.
Yeah.
Well, like,
but
what
I think
about,
I am quite exceptional. And I think I live a life where I like walk around and live and believe that I'm exceptional or whatever. And then people treat me like I am. And then we create a world where I am. But what I think what we do all day long is like tell ourselves, oh, I can never have this because I'm this. And then we go around like, I can't have it. I can't have it. I can't have it. And it's like, maybe you can have it even though you're this other thing, or maybe you can have it because you're this other thing.
yeah.
But either way, like stop fighting yourself, you know?
So good. Fear to faith, y'all. Fear to faith. I love it. Well, Amanda, this has been so fun. I loved everything that you shared. Thank you for dropping in and doing that meditation live on the spot. Appreciate you for doing that. And I'm going to drop everything in the show notes for anyone who isn't already following you, isn't already seeing what you're up to. Is there anything in particular that you want me to include down there for the listeners right now?
So I have something called the Boss Lady Meditation Series. You can find on my website. That's just at amandafrancis.com. And you can like opt into some really cool meditations. That could be a vibe. If you want to learn more about money, I have a few different like bundles on money that are open all year long. You can go to amandafrancis.com, click on bundles and kind of click through the things that are always open. Then I have bigger like digital courses that come out like once a year, but you can like opt into something now if you want to start growing with me on a path around one of the things we've talked about today. And my Instagram, my YouTube, and my Twitter, and my Facebook are all XO Amanda Francis.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Amanda. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.